Good morning, everyone, and welcome to review number 6 of Moon Knight, episode 6. The end-all, be-all, the 42-minute extravaganza wrapping up the previous 5 episodes of... Oh, God. I mean, the first 2 episodes, there was such promise. There really was. I was interested. I was like, okay, maybe this will be something. Then episode 3, and episode 4... And episode 5, like I said last time, episode 5, taken all by itself, kind of an engaging episode. If I could somehow ignore all the previous 4 episodes and everything leading up to it. But as it was sort of like this odd, weird thing that took place in the middle of a bunch of other things and didn't help anything. So how does this wrap up? Well, it wraps up in... probably one of the worst ways possible. We'll get to that momentarily. But first, who's joining me this morning? Well, Jaeger Pony, good morning. Funtime Bats, good morning. And Keeverdam, thank you so much. That's ridiculously generous of you. Happy May the 4th, Scribe. Well, May the 4th be with you, Keeverdam. Thank you so much. And per usual, Keeverdam has provided the links to the GoFundMes at the top of the chat box for Shady Grin, Angry Illinoisian, and his kitten. So if you happen to have a couple of extra bucks to spare, please consider donating there to help them and their families and loved ones. Very much appreciated. All right, so where do we start? Well, we start where we ended off sort of with episode 4. We're kind of jumping backwards in time now. Remember in episode 4 when Mark got shot twice in the chest and is dead? Yeah, so he's dead. We've abandoned the whole asylum, duat, afterlife thing for the moment. And so Mark is dead, and his body is dragged out of the water by Harrow and his minions, and they recover the little statue of Amit, the grand MacGuffin of this entire thing. And Harrow's like, I'm sorry it had to be this way, Mark Spector. And sometimes we need the cold light of death before we can see reality. Interesting that he's saying that when that terminology is more applicable to the Dr. Harrow in the dream sequence, in the hallucination, which was a hallucination. We're fairly well confirmed in this one that was all a hallucination and not real. But anyway, so he has his little statue. Layla is hiding in the shadows, and of course Harrow and his henchmen are not looking for her for some reason. And so he has his little statue, and he's ready to release Amit or whatever. And his cane shifts into a different crocodile-headed cane. Instead of a double crocodile-headed cane, it turns into a single crocodile-headed cane by magic for no particular reason. And he's, posturing in front of his followers and all this. And then, of course, because the tracker here doesn't really allow it. So at one point, just in the back here, I can't really find I think it's about here. Anyway, Layla's hiding, but then one of Harrow's henchmen, there we go. One of Harrow's henchmen is walking around, I guess surveying the place or checking the place out, and Layla subdues this person. How? I don't know. A full-grown man, I think it's a man, being taken down by Layla, who probably weighs about 110 pounds soaking wet. I assume she kills this person because this person does not come back, and Harrow and his henchmen do not notice this person is missing. So why did Layla... I mean, from a story perspective, what was the point of having Layla subdue this person? It brings up more questions than it answers, and it doesn't add anything to the story. But okay, so she subdues this person who then goes missing and nobody notices. And then after Harrow and all his men leave, because they don't think where Layla is, even though Harrow has to know that Layla's still in play somewhere. And he saw her in the caves leading up to this place, so why didn't he think he needed to find her? I don't know. I guess Layla's just not important to this equation. at all. So Harrow shows off his little statue to his men and everything, and then they leave, and then Layla comes out and tries to, is getting all sad over Mark, and it just reinforces the fact that these two actors, or at least the time they gave these two actors to interact with each other, created no chemistry between the two, because watching this, grieving scene, I felt nothing as an audience member at all, because I knew it was not permanent. Anyway, for some reason, Harrow decided to leave this ancient, valuable scarab on Mark's chest before he left, which just conveniently, again, acts as a compass to help Layla find Harrow. Okay. Anyway, so Layla then kind of, I guess, just leaves and leaves Mark's body in the tomb. Anyway, so then Harrow is going across the desert, and he's stopped at a checkpoint. Now, why he wasn't stopped at a checkpoint on his way to Amit's tomb and didn't have to deal with this before, I don't know. But he stopped at a checkpoint, and a whole bunch of guards are out there, and Harrow comes out, and he's like, hey, it's okay. I'm going to judge you all. And he slams his cane on the ground, and it suddenly judges everybody in the area, I guess. I don't know what the radius or the circumference of power is, but everybody in the area is judged, and everybody dies. Except for this one guard who doesn't die, so Harrow's like, you're a good man, you come with us now. This is the face of a good man, you don't need this anymore. And I'm wondering if this isn't like the director or some cameo behind the mask that we're just not aware of or something. I don't know. It just, again, out of place, doesn't really add anything to anything. Doesn't add anything to the story, except for the fact that apparently in the process of Harrow leaving, Layla put on an outfit and stowed away with them. So if Layla stowed away with them, what was the point of the scarab to act as a compass to find Harrow? I don't know. As far as I can recall, we don't see the scarab again. And if the scarab was there to lead her to where they were outside of the tomb, well, she knew where they were outside of the tomb because they got into the tomb at their campsite. Anyway, so Layla's stowing away, and then she's getting ready to kill Harrow. She's going to sneak up behind him and stab him. But then she's stopped all of a sudden by somebody talking to her. A dead body is talking to her. And whose voice is coming out of the dead body? Why, the hippo goddess. I don't remember her name. But the hippo goddess is talking through the dead body and telling Layla to wait. You can't take Harrow all on your own. Okay, and so Layla's like, what? And she's like, Mark can return to life. And what do you mean return to life? And I'm like, lady, you have watched demon jackals, Egyptian gods, magical moon knight suits. You've watched people's souls being sucked out of their bodies. And anything at this point sounds improbable to you? Really? So anyway, so the hippo goddess convinces her to not kill what's her name yet, or Harrow. And then hippo goddess suggests that Layla could become her avatar. Oh, so Layla could become the hippo avatar. Maybe. But that's just sort of said and ignored, and then they all get back in their trucks, and Layla gets back in the truck, and then they go. Which, again, completely negates any purpose of having the scarab. Or leaving it behind, or anything. So anyway, Harrow goes to this pyramid, this national monument, which has tourists around it practically all day, every day. And he uses his cane and opens up a big portal in the middle of the pyramid to the, where all the gods and their avatars gather. And then all the avatars show up, and they're like, the disturbance. The disturbance? What disturbance? Oh, you mean like all the soul sucking that's been going on since episode 1 that you guys didn't notice? You mean everything that Harrow has done in summoning demon jackals that you guys didn't notice? Oh, now you sense a disturbance. Oh, okay. All right. So anyway, and then somebody says, someone is trying to release Amit. You don't say. Gosh, when did we hear that? But was that episode 3? I think that was episode 3, wasn't it? Wasn't it like 3 episodes back where Mark and Khonshu came in front of you and said, he's trying to release Amit. And you guys were like, Harrow, are you trying to release Amit? You're like, I'm just taking a tour of the desert. Why would it? I don't know what you're talking about. Are you unwell, Mark? That negates any claim to that. Someone is trying to release. Oh, thanks. Okay, remember. Egyptian gods of various aspects of reality. Is someone trying to release Amit? But why? Why would someone release Amit? I don't know. Maybe. I swear to God, this show is an absolute downward curve on respecting the audience at all. It's insulting. It's insulting how stupid this writing is. But why? Why would he want to release Amit? Oh, not that he didn't have it all explained to you a couple episodes back. No. So anyway, Harrow comes in with all of his minions, and here are all the avatars of all the gods. And Harrow's like, yeah, you guys can just like not fight me and just let this happen. And they're like, no. And Layla goes back to try to find Khonshu's little statue, the little statue that he's trapped in. Okay, because again, Harrow at no point wonders, where did Layla go? Even though he confronted her in the tomb, even though he knows that she's a threat, he never thought to ask, where did Layla go? Find the girl or something, super villain like that. Yeah, so Layla's just allowed to infiltrate into the group, get into the tomb, find Khonshu's little statue. Harrow and his men basically mow down all of the avatars, and then he releases Amit. And then the giant crocodile goddess appears. They all bow, and Harrow's like, I released you. Hold on, sorry. She gets the little statue. We got to cut back and forth. Remember, we only got 42 minutes for this, guys. To whom do I owe my gratitude? To whom do you owe your gratitude? Okay. Yeah, so he's like, oh, I'm not worthy. And she's like, your scales lack balance. And he's like, I guess I suck then. I hope that in death, I serve you. He's very humble. I had hoped my penance might correct my imbalance. But I see now that's impossible. I accept the scales regardless of the outcome. He is a true believer. He is a loyal servant of Amit. And he says, then we must spare the world the pain I will cause, because his future self is going to do something terrible, even though his current self has already done some terrible things. And anyway, so Amit's walking around, being a goddess and being all evil and stuff. And she's like, you will be my avatar. And he's like, yes, I will be your avatar. Mwahaha. And then Layla releases Khonshu. And Khonshu's like, okay, lady, the only way to fight this situation, if Mark is dead, is I need an avatar. And she's like, heck no, I am not going to be your slave. And he tries to make her take the oath, and she's like, I'm not going to do it. And he's like, well, his lack of focus got him killed, And says, like, I don't care what you can offer. I don't trust you. We'll work together without me enslaving myself. And he's like, we must rebind Amit. Only an avatar can do it. Okay, well, so there are no avatars on the good side of things. So anyway, so Amit's walking around being all evil, and then Khonshu shows up and is like, haha, hey guys, I'm here to break up this party. And Amit's like, Khonshu, what the heck are you doing here? Time has been cruel to you. And then we're back at the afterlife. And Mark is here with Hippo Goddess. Hippo Goddess who told Layla that Mark would be brought back to life. Well, now she's telling Mark, your journey is over. Okay. So she's trying to comfort him in the start of his afterlife. And he's like, it's so beautiful. And she's like, there's no danger, no loneliness or hurt. And he's like, where's Steven? He's gone, Mark. The Duat has him. Please enjoy your peace. So she's encouraging him to stay in the afterlife, even though he told Layla before that he would be brought back to life. So I guess maybe she knows what the future is going to hold, or she knows that Mark is not going to follow through on this, or it's inconsistent narrative. I'm willing to believe the latter at this point. Anyway, so of course Mark says, no, I can't stay, and Steven needs me, even though Steven is a complete construct and not a real person, but apparently he's real enough that Mark needs to take off. And again, somehow, even though Steven represents part of his soul at this point, otherwise why would he be in the afterlife? And even though we know there is a third personality who represents another portion of his soul, which we haven't met, isn't anywhere to be seen, and yet Mark is somehow balanced in the afterlife. And yet, setting aside even those two people, are you telling me that Mark Spector, prior to meeting Khonshu, did such acts as to completely balance his scales as a mercenary who killed people for a living? And he gets to go to paradise. Okay. All right. All right. So anyway, he rejects heaven. He goes back to the desert. He finds Steven all frozen up. We cut back to Khonshu talking to Amit, debating stuff. And they're going like, hey, Amit's like, we have the exact same purpose. Why don't you join me? And he's like, yeah, you kill people before they have a chance to make a choice. And she says, I already know what choice they're going to make. You do the same thing. Yeah, but at least I wait until, they've made that choice. And she's like, why wait until they make the choice and cause people harm? And then we're back in the afterlife, and Mark goes over to Steven, and he's like, oh, Steven, I'm so sorry I left you. I'll stay with you here forever. I survived because I knew I wasn't alone. I'm still confused as to how or how much Mark was supposed to have known that Steven existed or vice versa. It's all very confusing. But anyway, so he joins Steven in death / I don't know what you want to call limbo, and they both freeze up into sand. And then all of a sudden the gates of something open up, and Steven is released and Mark is released. And they're like, oh my God, you're alive. And look, the gates are open. The gates to what? I don't know. If I had it explained to me what the gates were in a previous episode, I have now forgotten. So I don't know. I guess it's the gates back to life, I assume. Anyway, so then Khonshu and Amit go into a total throwdown fight. So we have gods having a kung fu battle in the middle of a pyramid, which could be kind of cool. Anyway, so then this giant sand tidal wave starts coming towards Steven and Mark, and they're like, oh my God, run for the temple, run for the temple. Oh my God. And then Hippo Goddess shows up with her big boat to, I guess, block the wave long enough for them to get into the temple. Is that how that works? And like, woo, Hippo. Yeah, Hippo. Anyway, they run into the gates, and Khonshu's still fighting stuff. And suddenly Khonshu senses Mark is alive again. And now Mark is alive again. And he gets up, and he crawls over, and 2 bullets fall out of his chest. And, oh my God. he starts having flashbacks to all of the little adventures we had in this series so far, to him and everything, and then he becomes Moon Knight. So we finally get to see Moon Knight in this episode. It'll be the longest period of time we get to see Moon Knight in one episode altogether. After 6 episodes, and several episodes either having no Moon Knight or bare seconds of Moon Knight, we finally get to Moon Knight in the Moon Knight series. And so Moon Knight is alive again. Mark is resurrected. He goes outside into the daylight, which I don't know if that's how Moon Knight works in the comic books or not, but either way, he comes out in the daylight and he walks over and starts having a talk with Khonshu, who I guess teleported away from the fight with Amit. And Khonshu's like, Amit has been freed. Mark Spector, I need your help. And then Steven, so now when Moon Knight shows up, he can pop back and forth between personalities on a whim. So Moon Knight shows up, and then Mr. Knight, Steven, shows up. And they're like, how's this arrangement going to work then? And he's like, Stephen Grant, I was not speaking to you. And we did just save your life, so you're welcome for that. Actually, Layla did. You didn't do anything. Layla saved Khonshu's life. So, yeah, that didn't happen. But anyway, so they're trying to make a deal. And the deal is if they defeat Amit, Khonshu will release them from his servitude. I'm like, okay, that sounds great. How the heck am I going to get to Cairo? And then Khonshu's like, you forget, little worm, I am the god of the night. And he makes it nighttime, just like that. So now it's nighttime. Khonshu just, alters time or space or whatever again, just for the heck of it. Vulgar use of godly powers. Anyway, so then Moon Knight flies off because now he can fly. Or Khonshu's making him fly. Or I don't know. Anyway, so Avatar of, I think, Osiris is still barely alive. Layla pulls him aside, and he's like, are you the one who released Khonshu? And so she's like, I need your help. You need to help me stop Amit. And he says, this chamber is our most powerful place. And he's dying. And she's like, no, wait, no. And then she's like, Hippo goddess, come talk to me. And then suddenly Harrow hears the voice of the Hippo goddess coming out of the dead body saying, Layla! And Harrow has to be thinking, oh yeah, Mark's girlfriend, the lady who I was trying to bring over to the dark side of the tomb that I just sort of decided to forget about. And it was completely ruined my plans by releasing Khonshu because I couldn't have seen that coming. Anyway, so then Harrow starts, bringing the temple down with his magic, and Layla's caught in this thing. And then Hippo Goddess takes over Layla. Layla accepts Hippo Goddess as to be her avatar. And as the dust starts coming down, as the temple starts to collapse or whatever, the avatar lady, the Hippo Goddess, is like, oh, I have such a great idea for an outfit. I have a fabulous costume in mind. Yeah. Okay, so anyway, Moon Knight is flying over to the pyramid to fight Harrow. And Harrow's going up to the top of the pyramid. What's Harrow going to do? Harrow is going to release Amit's power across all of Cairo. So everybody in Cairo is about to be judged on their scales. And if their scales don't balance, their soul will be sucked out of them. And he gets to the top of the pyramid. He looks out over the city, and he starts chanting, and he lets loose the big purple power. And everybody in the town's like, huh? What is this purple power in the sky? And then everybody suddenly has scale tattoos show up on their hands. Or these are previously established followers of Harrow in the crowd, I guess. I don't know, but I guess all the followers of Harrow are now activated. And so it's not going to be Harrow's power that judges the people. It's going to be what agents he has in the population who's going to judge people. Followers of Amit judge everyone. Okay, so Harrow has empowered all of his followers to have the power to judge anybody they grab onto as to the worthiness of their soul for the Egyptian afterlife. Okay, so then they start doing that, and a whole bunch of people's souls start flying up into the sky. So you've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So, like, dozens and dozens of people are now dead. Or some untold number of people are now dead across Cairo, just instantly. Okay. And then, Amit is now turning into a kaiju and is eating all of the souls, I guess. So, yes, with all the souls, she gets bigger and bigger and bigger in the middle of Cairo. Cairo? Cairo. Kaiju, Cairo. Kairoshu? Anyway, so then out of the dust of the cave and all this other stuff comes Super Layla. Because Moon Knight in a show called Moon Knight couldn't be the one to be the superhero. No. Layla has to become a superhero too. We can't let the boys have all the fun in a show called Moon Knight. And so now Layla is, I don't know what she is. I assume, because I don't know the comic books, I assume she's now Isis, although we can't call her Isis because of obvious current year political global situations, but I don't know what she is. But anyway, she's now the avatar of the hippo goddess. She's got super wings and super swords and a super suit of armor, and I don't care. But anyway, so then Harrow sees Mark coming at him, and Kaiju Amit is like, what's going on? And Kaiju's growling. And then we have Moon Knight versus Harrow. Oh boy, the climactic battle between Moon Knight and Harrow. Because Harrow, I guess, is now imbued with superpowers or super strength. And they go flying through the air, fighting each other, punch, punch, punch. And at various times, Moon Knight changes into Mr. Knight and then back to Moon Knight, because we have to, reinforce the idea that Moon Knight is two characters now at once, things and stuff. And then Khonshu and, I can't really get it here, but Khonshu and Amit start having a real kaiju fight where they're fighting each other. So Moon Knight and Harrow are fighting each other. Kaiju, Khonshu, and Kaiju Amit are fighting each other at the pyramid. And in the middle of all this stuff where, there's gods fighting and people's souls flying off into the ether and everything, there's some people just kind of having dinner in the middle of town and not noticing any of this, I guess. And then they crash in the middle of town, Moon Knight and Harrow. Kaiju fight going on between Khonshu and Amit. And they have, again, the same argument they had earlier in the temple. It's like, why don't you join me? And it's like, no, your methods aren't my methods, and that's not right. I only punish those who have chosen evil. And she's like, well, I stop them before they commit the evil. Yada, yada, free choice versus determinism, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, so Harrow and Moon Knight start fighting. Fight. But then, all of a sudden, Super Layla appears, because Moon Knight is about to be defeated by Harrow, but then Super Layla appears and saves Moon Knight. Oh, thank goodness. Thank goodness Super Layla was there to save Moon Knight in a show called Moon Knight, where she gets superpowers at the last second. So anyway, Harrow and Super Layla start fighting. And then they, Mark and she commiserate, and she's like, hey, I'm an avatar of Hippo Goddess now. I'm going to call her Hippocampus. So Hippocampus and Moon Knight are now maskless, because we got to have the actors' faces there. And then the Kaijus are still arguing and fighting. And then these two are still arguing and fighting with each other. And then Harrow's still fighting. And then it's just a big mess action scene, guys. But then the real kicker comes. Let's see if I can get it here. Yeah, there's nothing going on. It's just fight, 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 fight. Okay. So then a whole bunch of civilians are saying, get in the van, go inside, get in the van. So there's a whole bunch of civilians in this van, right? And then Harrow uses his superpower and zaps the van. If I can find that frame. Can I find that frame? I can't find that frame. There you go. He zaps the van, knocks this van over, and in the process of the van being knocked over, this little girl is thrown to the side. And Layla jumps over to stop and save the van. And then the little girl gets up and says, "Are you an Egyptian superhero?" And Layla's like, "I am." And then she gets back into the fight. Because you see, now that little girl knows that she can be a superhero too. She saw a girl superhero, so now that she's seen it, she can be it. Are you an Egyptian superhero? I am. Because Layla's actually Egyptian. The actress is actually Egyptian. And now it's an Egyptian with a superhero costume. So now she's a real Egyptian superhero. Yeah, because Mark is American, right? Wearing Egyptian type stuff, which doesn't make him legitimate. And so anyway, so Super Layla then I guess stops fighting or something. And Harrow is fighting Moon Knight. And he starts, guilt tripping Mark over Randall's life, his brother having died. And they're fighting and they're fighting and they're fighting. And Layla steps in, and then Mark's down again because Mark can't win because Moon Knight can't win the fight. And then we have Kaiju Conchu and Kaiju Amit, and they're up there fighting. And then Harrow's got Moon Knight exactly where he wants him, and he stabs him in the chest. And then, well, Moon Knight goes into one of his fugue states. And suddenly we wake up and everybody's defeated. Either dead or beaten. Because, oh my gosh, who took over the body? Well, it wasn't Steven, and it wasn't Mark. Who could it be? Steven, did you do this? Not a chance, mate. So everybody's dead and defeated. Layla's like, Mark, what did you do? He's like, I don't know. And then she's like, get Harrow. I know how to stop Amit. How do you know how to stop Amit? Why are you the one giving the orders? This is a show called Moon Knight, but it's not really about Moon Knight, is it? So anyway, they pick up Harrow's body and then, I guess, fly him back to the pyramid, because they were in the middle of town and we saw Harrow and Moon Knight flying miles away anyway. So they're back in the middle of the temple, in the middle of the pyramid, in the middle of Cairo that's just had a whole bunch of people's souls sucked to death. Yeah. And so, quick, grab my hand so we can start the spell. What spell? I don't know. There's a binding spell that only Layla knows. I guess Hippo Goddess is telling her how to do this, I assume. Anyway, they start chanting this spell so they can grab Amit and bind her to Harrow's body, which I thought she already was because he's her avatar. But anyway, so they're going to bind bind Amit to Harrow's body. And they do the ritual, and Amit's like, ah! And she gets bound into Harrow's body. Big scene of all the smoke and stuff going into his body. And now Harrow is imbued with Amit. And now, because Amit is in a mortal shell, now she can be killed. For realsies, I guess. So then Khonshu shows up and he's like, aha, Amit, we have Amit where we need her. Kill her. And, while he lives, so does she. And so Mark gets out his moon stabby blade thing, and he says, I have to finish this. If not, I'll never be free. And so he's about to kill Harrow. But of course, he can't bring himself to do it. And even Layla's like, Mark. She has to be his conscience. And I'm like, wait a second. Why did you just do this? Why are you stopping him? Why are you stopping yourself? You just killed a whole bunch of people. You have killed people throughout this entire series. Why are you hesitating to kill Harrow? You didn't have a problem killing all the people at the rich guy's place when he was riding around on his horses. You didn't have any problem killing people back at the temple. Why do you care about killing people now? Oh, well, okay, well, all of the frickin' sudden, Mark Spector and Layla now have a problem in killing someone to save people's lives. Layla, who shot a couple of people dead back at the rich guy's place. Anyway, so they say, I can't do this. He's like, Khonshu's like, we must take vengeance. And then he says, now you sound just like her, referring to Amit. And I'm like, well, no, duh. They're just two different sides of the same coin. He's been saying this same stuff since you met him. His sales pitch is no different now than it was when you met him the first time. You sound just like her. What? So they choose not to kill Harrow. And they're looking at each other, and he's like, let free us. And Khonshu's like, fine. I free you. And then there's this big light, and we're back in the asylum. Yeah, so we're back in the asylum. And Mark is talking to Dr. Harrow again. And Mark's like, but do you believe that Khonshu and Amit are real? And he's like, no, I don't. And then the doctor walks away. But as he walks away, blood is coming out of his feet. Remember in the first episode, in the opening scene, when he put glass in his shoes as some sort of like pain ritual thing? Harrow did? Well, now that blood is coming through his shoes, except that this is all in Mark's head. And so far as I know, Mark has no idea that Harrow did that. So why would Mark be imagining his feet bleeding? And I don't know. And this scene makes no sense. I mean, are they in the afterlife now, in that sort of limbo state? Is Harrow there too? Is this all what? And then Mark wakes up again, back in bed, like at the beginning of the series. And he gets up and he looks at his apartment, and then he tries to get out of bed, but then he trips over his thing again and falls to the floor, and he's hurt, and that's the end of the episode. Oh, but wait, no, it's not the end of the episode, because of course this is a Marvel show, so we have to put an after credit sequence at the end of the last episode of the series. So if that wasn't enough to make absolutely no sense as an ending, right? Okay, where nothing is explained, not even in some sort of like ironic, catchy, clever way. No. We have to have a second ending, like Second Breakfast, except not nearly as filling. And now we're in a yellow-tinted place with a Dr. Duck, and it is a cup of sand. There's a cup of sand here. At least it was a cup of sand, and then it suddenly turns to coffee. See, here it's sand. You can see it's like a little granular sand, and then he spills it, and it's coffee. And who is it? Well, look, there's the tattoo. There's the Scales tattoo. It's Harrow. Harrow is in the asylum now. And now some mysterious orderly who's speaking I believe either Spanish or Portuguese, I'm not quite sure because I'm terrible at languages, is taking him away. And who could this be? Oh, I don't know. But here's an orderly who's dead off to the side, you know. So someone that none of the staff would recognize, who apparently has just killed an orderly that the staff would recognize, is allowed to take this patient out of the hospital to a big, long, white limousine. And in the reflection here, you can see someone with one of those little grandpa caps or a flap cap or whatever they call them. And anybody who knows the characters from the comic books knows who this is, because we've been waiting for him to show up the entire season. So anyway, he throws Harrow into the back of this posh, giant white limousine. And then Khonshu's sitting there in a suit this time, reminiscent of his appearances in recent comic books. And Harrow's like, oh, now what? What's going on? And Khonshu's like, yeah, you want to know something? Because that's how Khonshu talks now. Mark Spector truly believed that after he and I parted ways, I wanted his wife to be my avatar. Why would I ever need anybody else when he has no idea how troubled he truly is? Meet my friend Jake Lockley. And lo and behold, look, it's Jake Lockley or Mark Spector or Stephen Grant. And then he says in Spanish, okay, the show's telling me it's Spanish, today is your turn to lose. And he shoots Harrow dead in the back of this limousine. The limousine that has a license plate that says Spectre. Now, as far as I know, this is right out of the comic books, but where did the limousine come from? Why does it say Spectre on it? And it drives off, and we're done. And that's it. That's the end of the show. I don't know what else to say except that this is an absolute garbage fire of a story. Absolute garbage fire of a story. Again, you have a show called Moon Knight, and even in the climactic finale, Moon Knight is not allowed to be Moon Knight. He has to be shown up by a different character, specifically a female character who suddenly gets superpowers out of nowhere and completely, talk about taking the wind out of the sails of your star hero. And then she shows up and saves him and has to be his conscience on his shoulder to stop him from killing Harrow, even though that's the only way to stop this whole thing from going wrong again in the future. Even though she herself has killed people that are as bad or worse than Harrow, even in this very show, there is no set morality that was going to be broken by them killing Harrow. There was no code of conduct. There was not any great character altering nothing. Mark Spector as Moon Knight had killed dozens of bad people. We saw their zombies in the afterlife. He has killed bad people over and over and over again. And now you have a guy who has killed people in front of you, sucked their souls out, summoned demon jackals, and you have a problem now taking a life? No sense. So is Layla now a superhero that we're going to have a spin-off series for? Is she going to be what Hippo Goddess, Hippocampus? I can't tell you how just ridiculous and infuriating this last episode was. I mean, not only was it short, it packed a lot of stuff into a relatively short amount of time, but the total absence of internal logic. Harrow not looking for Layla, right? Even though he knows he's there, he knows she could be a problem. The stop on the road, which I guess the only utility of the stop on the road was to show us that Layla had stowed away with them. What was the scarab for? I don't know. Use it for later, some spin-off series or something? I don't know. Mark's afterlife and his asylum delusion. I mean, what did that have to do with anything? Especially in this episode. If you want to say, okay, well, it was an aspect of his afterlife thing while he was dying. Okay, well, why is he going through it again? Why is Harrow's feet bleeding? Was that Harrow in the dream? What? And are you an Egyptian superhero? I am. So you've just decided to go along with this? You didn't want to be enslaved to Khonshu, but now you're willing to be the servant of Hippo Lady? Hippo Lady, who is the goddess that's supposed to ferry people or judge people between death and the afterlife, and now you have swords and wings and you're a warrior? Is that the avatar of the Hippo Lady? Anyway, I could go on, but there's not much more for me to say because that's it. For as much as we saw Moon Knight in this episode, Moon Knight was not allowed to be Moon Knight. And we have a cliffhanger which completely just negates the last scene or two. Okay, so Mark and Steven are the good moral characters, but Jake Lockley's the one that actually gets stuff done. Okay? And at no point, here's the other thing too, and the thing that, I mean, of everything else, on at least 3 or 4 occasions now, Steven/Mark have taken actions that neither of them committed. They know that something else took them over. They both know it's like, Steven, did you do this? I didn't do it. Did you do this, Mark? I didn't do it. And it never occurs to them to ask who did it or to be concerned that there might be another personality in there somewhere. You know, we saw the red sarcophagus rocking around in the dream that they never decided to look at. Okay, and Layla doesn't ask this question, even if you can say, oh, well, Mark and Steven are just off in some kind of denial delusion thing. Layla, who has now witnessed this firsthand, doesn't have any questions. You know, the Mark that hesitated to kill Harrow versus the guy she just saw kill 5 guys in the street 20 minutes earlier. Okay. I'm going to stop now, which I'm going to give myself a migraine. I'll take a look at anything you guys have to say, and then I'll wrap this up. Racker 8, it was super mega ultra fucking cringe. Yeah. Are you an Egyptian superhero? I am. Bridget. He stopped because a woman said to. Yeah, you know, obviously his toxic masculinity was the problem the whole time. It was toxic masculinity all along. Senior staff reporter and chief Florida correspondent Colleen Byrne. Yay! I haven't said that in so long. Thankfully, there are no plans for season 2 of this dumpster fire. Well, not with Oscar Isaac. Not with Oscar Isaac. At least as of right now that I know, he is not contracted to do any more Marvel TV series or anything else. So Oscar Isaac as Moon Knight, yeah. If they recast him, whatever. But yeah, someone out there is going to do it, like accurate second to second. But the actual amount of time, screen time, that Moon Knight had in this series comes down to a handful of minutes in a series called Moon Knight. The Layla character, the lack of chemistry between those two, the relationship wasn't there. Taking a complete diversion from the story into the afterlife in episode 5. Yeah. No, I've said my bit. Dark Inquisitor, hello there, little Padawans. If any of you Padawans put an @ sign on my name, you will die for real by me and my master Darth Vader. I'm not kidding and not joking at all. Okay. Whatever. Let's see. Johnny Elcat, I wonder if they cut episodes since the actor Midnight died. I don't know. I mean, I think he had finished filming everything that they had for him before he died. I think filming had wrapped. So if and as far as I know, it was planned to be 6 episodes, or it had been announced to be 6 episodes before he died. I think. I'm happy to be corrected on that. So if they did cut out a whole segment of stuff, but I didn't see anything that would suggest to me that there was a major piece of storyline cut out. But, who knows? They didn't make much of that character when they introduced him. He was just a guy that owned some stuff, and then he rode off into the night or something. So maybe, but it wouldn't have helped anything. And let's see, anything else? Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So that's it. That's Moon Knight, 6 episodes. Keywordam, Scribelight, did you see that P-Dog's YouTube channel got hit? No, I didn't. What, for copyright or something? Uh-oh. Well then, I'll have to go check that out. That sucks. I'm guessing probably played some video or showed something and got zapped. Maybe. I don't know. Okay. Let's see here. Yeah. So everybody, that's it. That's all I got. If you have any comments or questions or otherwise, put them in the comments or questions below. Another disappointing outing from Marvel on TV. Again, the first 2 episodes gave me hope, but now it's full of nope. So what's next for Marvel television? Or Disney Plus, I should say. The Obi-Wan Kenobi series is coming up. Will I watch it and review it? Probably. As far as Marvel television shows, I think Miss Marvel is the next one in the loop, I think. So I suppose we'll see. I don't know. Why do I keep throwing myself at these things? Oh, hope springs eternal. But with that, everyone, I'm going to call it here. Thank you so much for joining me. If you'd like to hear more from me, you can find me here tomorrow night, Thursday night, at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, for another episode of TED Excellence. This week, we're going to apparently find out, can I be myself at work? It may be another case of split personalities going on. I don't know. I guess we'll find out together, but join me then for that. Otherwise, everyone, have a good rest of your Wednesday. Have a good rest of your week. Moderators, thank you for keeping an eye on things. Even though everyone here is so well behaved, you have very little to do. Everybody who donated, either to myself or to the GoFundMe's pinned at the top of the chat box, thank you. Thank you so much for your generosity. I really do appreciate it. Hope you are all safe and well. If you are not well, please get well soon, and I will see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.